10K per month in free Google Ads. Kelsey and I are really excited to get going with you. So we are going to introduce ourselves. We are ConnectAd. We are a digital marketing agency that only works with the nonprofits. This has been the case since we started the company in 2010. We started off managing Google Ad Grant campaigns. That's been our bread and butter traditionally, although we do a lot more than that now. But in terms of the Google grant, we have a 100% success rate in terms of applying for the app for this grant. We work with over 550 nonprofits that generates over 25 million in free marketing every year. And we are a Google Ad Grant certified professional company, meaning that Google, the team at Google, has picked us in terms of our contribution and our expertise in the space to be a certified partner. It's a very select group, about 40 companies worldwide, and we are finally a Google Premier Partner. I just realized I skipped a slide, Kelsey. If you go back one slide, because we are talking about 10K per month in free Google Ads, and the centerpiece of that is this thing called the Google Ad Grant. And so this is a program from Google that gives eligible nonprofits $10,000 per month in free Google Ads. So that's really kind of where we as a company started. And we've done this for a long time in terms of helping organizations get the grant and also manage it. So we are going to delve into this amazing program and tell you a lot about it. So if you go to the order of events for today, so we'll tell you about the grant in terms of the eligibility. We'll give you an overview of how the grant works itself, the program, and then you need some background in terms of how Google search ads work because the grant is something that's built off of Google search ads, right? And so we need to start with this kind of like foundation of understanding how those pieces work. After that, we'll get into what problems nonprofits can solve using this Google Ad Grant, how to navigate the application process, and then some tips in terms of how to run a successful Google Ad Grant campaign. Just to be totally transparent with you, there's a very short section at the back, at the very end of the webinar, where we are going to talk about our company and what we do and who it can be helpful for. Even if you're not interested, there's tons of educational and useful information for you here today. But we just want to be very upfront about that. In terms of Q&A, we welcome all the questions you have. We love getting your questions. You can send that in there's a Q&A section. Some people like to do it as well in the webinar chat. Just so you know, although we see it throughout the webinar, we're not going to answer that until the end of the webinar. It's just for the flow of the webinar, we find it a lot better to just keep it for the end. And then we typically stay on as long as necessary to answer all your questions. And again, it's like one of our favorite parts of the webinar. It's just hearing your questions and being able to answer them. So that's how today's going to go. Without further ado, Kelsey is going to kick us off with some information. She does business development at ConnectAd. She spends a lot of time talking with nonprofits just like you to talk about the grant and see if it's right for the organization. So she has a lot of insights to share with us. Kelsey?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simon. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Of course, we are very excited always to tell you about this amazing program that is the Google Ad Grant. So first, I'm going to go through 4 conditions that you have to meet in order to be eligible for the Google Ad Grant. So number 1, you must be registered as a nonprofit. This means that if you're in the US, you're registered as a 501c3 specifically. If you're in Canada, this means you're registered as a charity or nonprofit. And your organization must not fall under certain categories. So these categories are that you cannot be a government, you can't be a hospital, and you can't be a school. So this is a very gray area because a lot of nonprofits are government funded, and that is completely acceptable. A lot of organizations are, focusing on cancer research or actually, focusing on epilepsy information. So that would be completely acceptable. We work with a lot of organizations that focus on health, but you can't be an actual hospital giving people surgeries. As for schools, if you're a nonprofit that provides educational resources or, just focuses on education, that's completely acceptable. You just can't necessarily be like a university or an elementary school. So again, this is a gray area. We have seen Google accept different types of nonprofits for different reasons. So what our team always says is just to simply apply. It is completely free to do, and it's really the only way that you'll know if your specific organization is eligible for the Google Ad Grant. So number two, you must be registered with Google for Nonprofits. So this is actually the first step in order to get the Google Ad Grant. What Google for Nonprofits is it provides nonprofits with a bunch of free programs. The Google Ad Grant is one of those programs, but you also get access to the Google Workspace for free, and it is just a really great thing to sign up for your nonprofit. It's completely free to do, and again, it is the first step in order to getting the Google Ad Grant. And number three, your nonprofit must own a website or a domain name, and a domain name, sorry, not or. You must own a website and domain name. This is because with the Google Ad Grant, we're not advertising to your Facebook page or your YouTube page. We're only advertising to your website. So you must own this website and the domain name. And number four, you must make sure that your website is high quality. So this is defined as being secured with HTTPS. Before it was HTTP, now it must be HTTPS secured. You have to have substantial written content on your website that is unique to your nonprofit. Um, and you cannot have any Google AdSense or affiliate links that are promoting for-profit businesses. Of course, this makes sense because Google doesn't want you using their $10,000 in money to promote a for-profit business. This is specifically for nonprofits. So let's go through what the Google Ad Grant is. So it gives nonprofits $10,000 per month in free Google Ads. I get this question a lot. It's not one time, it's not per year, it is every single month in perpetuity as long as you stay within compliance of it. Now, when I talk about this $10,000, it's not cash that Google is giving us, but it is ad credits to use towards advertising on the search page. So there's a couple important things to remember about the Google Ad Grant. First is that you are never charged by Google for this program. It is their goodwill initiative, so you will not be charged. And number two, there's no limited amount of these grants that can be given out, and you can apply at any time. Now, it's a pretty simple application. It's not like you have to write an essay. Again, all you have to do is apply to Google for Nonprofits, and the process will continue from there. And we'll go through that process later in the webinar. But I think a really important aspect about the Google Ad Grant here is that, we've been working with clients since 2010 who have now benefited from more than $2 million in free advertising. Definitely a huge number, and I'm excited to really get into more of the case studies down the line to show you the exact impact that it's had. Okay, so now that we know what the Google Ad Grant is, how to get it, I'm going to go through how it really works. So I'm sure you've all seen this page before, but just to break it down into Google Grant terms, where your ads will show up with the Google Ad Grant are within that paid ads section there. Below that is the organic listings. Now, this is one of the huge advantages of the Google Ad Grant is that you have a chance as an organization to be at the top of the page for people who are searching for what you offer as an organization. Now, how Google even determines which ads to show. Of course, search ads are very intent based, or search advertising is very intent based. When someone searches something in Google, they're either looking for more information on that thing right now, or they're looking to perform some specific action. In this case, it's to donate their used clothing. So, as an organization who may offer people to give to donate their used clothing, you're going to want to come up with a keyword list of different keywords and search terms that someone may be looking up when they're thinking about donating their used clothing or household goods. So, as you can see, the keyword list on the left-hand side there is donate used clothing, donate used goods, donation boxes, etc. They're all, search terms that someone may be looking up in order to donate their used clothing or household goods. And of course, not everyone thinks the same. So this is why we want to have a diversified keyword list in order to make sure that we are reaching all of these people who may be, looking to donate their used clothing in different ways. So how Google really determines which ads to show is through scanning what someone has typed in the search bar. Again, donate used clothing, and they want to show people a relevant advertisement. You've all used Google before, and I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. So as you see in front of you, all these 3 ads are very relevant to what this person had searched up. And Google determines relevancy again by scanning what someone has typed into the search bar and also seeing how relevant your ad copy is to that search. So by ad copy, the ad copy here is donate your used clothes. We want the stuff you don't. So again, that's how Google determines which ads to show is through the relevancy of it. Now, there's 2 important things that happen when someone does click on your ad. So when someone clicks on your ad, usually you'd have to pay Google real money. But this is where the $10,000 Google Ad Grant comes in. When someone clicks on your ad, that is how the $10,000 will be spent. And the second most important thing is that it will bring someone to a certain landing page of your website. So again, this is really where the relevancy part comes into play, is because you want your users to have a very smooth journey in order to help them create act on some sort of action on your website and really help them find what they were looking for. So this is a landing page that we created for our client. And as you can see, it has everything that someone would need to know when they want to donate their used clothing or household goods. It has items that they accept, items that they don't accept, and also has 2 calls to action to really tell the person what to do next. It's the next step in the journey. So to either schedule a free home pickup or to find a near drop-off location, those are 2 things you're probably going to be wondering about when you're looking to donate your used clothing. So we want to make this journey as seamless as possible and help people just get through to the next step and really make some sort of action on your website. And I'm just going to really hone in on this relevancy part and why the user journey is so important. So let's say you yourself were looking up donate used clothing and you see this very relevant advertisement. But when you click on it, it brings you to the general homepage of the website. Most likely, 2 things are going to happen. You're either going to have to click through the website in order to find that donate used clothing page, which is not a very smooth user journey. Or what's even more likely is that you're going to jump off this website and click one of the other ads that you had seen in order to get to a page like this, so that you didn't have to do any other extra work. You have a smooth user journey. You get to the page that you wanted, and you can really perform a specific action to donate your used clothing. So I'm going to keep on saying this, but the whole point is that we want people to get to our website in order to create some specific action, because this doesn't only help us reach our goals as an organization, but it's also helping our community find what they were looking for. So you may be even asking, okay, well, how many people are on Google every day? Like, how many people would even see my ad? Well, 200 million people are clicking on Google every single day. That is a huge opportunity for new eyes to get to your website to really grow your community. Again, these people can be your supporters, your donors, your clients, your volunteers, whoever it may be. We want these users to have a smooth user journey to our website, land on our landing page, and take some specific action. I'm going to do a quick question check-in here. Yeah, check-in question here. I'm just going to ask everyone who already has the Google Ad Grant. So I'll just launch this poll and give everyone just a minute or so. Okay, perfect, everyone. Thank you all for your participation. It seems like 30% of you already do have the Google Ad Grant and 70% of you do not. So good thing that this presentation is for actually all of you who either do have the Google Ad Grant or don't. So thank you for sharing that. And to move on with the presentation, I will go to the next slide. So within these few slides, I'm going to go through some common problems and solutions that we see nonprofits face and how we really find the solution to that through the Google Ad Grant. I'm going to go through some real life case studies of how we have helped our nonprofit clients reach their goals through the Google Ad Grant or solve some of their problems. And then afterwards, I'm going to hand it off to Simon to go through the application process and also how to run a successful Google Ad Grant campaign. So A lot of the time, as Simon was saying at the start of the presentation, I speak to nonprofits all the time, and it is such a blessing. And a lot of the things that I hear is that, oh, we need to increase awareness. We're the best kept secret. We have so much to offer our community, but no one knows about us. We really need to improve our event attendance. We have this gala coming up at the end of the year, and we see the same faces all the time, and it's great, but we really want to see more faces and build our community. We need to increase our earned revenue. We're a theater, we're an arts organization. We need to sell more tickets in order to get that earned revenue to keep doing what we're doing. Again, donations, something I hear all the time. And of course, because nonprofits all need donations in order to fund what they're doing. Another thing I hear often is that we need to grow our mailing list. We really want to build our support base through our email list and really make sure that we're getting the awareness of our organization out there and we're having people engage with us. So the best thing about the Google Ad Grant is that it can actually focus on all of these problems. Of course, it's not a silver bullet. It is best used within your whole marketing strategy, but it is a very, very powerful tool in order to be the first step to solving these problems. So within the case studies I'll go through next, it'll touch on a few of these problems that nonprofits face and how we take step-by-step solutions to solve those problems through the Google Ad Grant. First organization I'd like to talk about is the Redwood Women's Shelter here in Toronto, Canada. They were finding that women experiencing abuse were not aware of the Redwood and the help that they could provide. They needed their community to find out about them. So the first step that we took is that we pick or build a landing page that supports our website goals or supports our goals, really. So their goal was to get more people to be aware of them. So what we did was choose a landing page that had their crisis line right in front of the person who would land on this page. Now, by doing this, we are, of course, helping the women who are in need of help find the Redwood and call this crisis number. So again, we want to pick or build a landing page that has our goal right there. Now, step number 2 is an extremely important step. They're all important, but I think that keyword research, there's definitely an art and a science to it. So how I was saying earlier in the presentation, how when you are an organization thinking about how to advertise what you offer, you want to make a keyword list with many different search terms in order to reach the people who are looking for you. Like you really want to be in front of the eyes of people who are looking for what you offer as an organization. So keyword research is the part or is how you do this. So the art part of it is thinking about different keywords that someone might search in the search bar in order to find you. And the science part is making sure that we're finding high average monthly searches. So as you can see in the example in front of you, why this is important is because housing assistance for women is relevant to what you do, but only 10 people are searching for it on a monthly basis. So when we look at women's shelter, there's 1,300 women searching this on a monthly basis. So this tells us two things. First, of course, we know that there are many people looking for what we offer. And two, this tells us that our ad will be triggered for the people looking for this. And because there is so many high monthly searches, we know that that's a good quality keyword to put into our campaign or our ad. So the next step that we do is drive these searches to your landing page using free Google Ads. Now, as you can see in front of you, this is an example of what your ad will look like using the Google Ad Grant. When someone types in women's shelter, we know that that was a really high searched keyword and your ad was triggered. And of course, the results of this campaign were actually a 630% increase in crisis calls per month. And I hope that goes to show you the real life impact that the Google Ad Grant can have on your community. From using this tool, the Google Ad Grant, we've been able to get a 630% increase in calls, 630% increase in calls, excuse me. And that is just amazing. That just goes to show how many women were in need of the Redwood services, and we helped them get there. We helped them get to the landing page. We helped them call the line. And this is the real world impact that the Google Ad Grant can have for nonprofits. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple more case studies, but maybe a little bit quicker this time. So You may have remembered that one of the problems that a lot of nonprofits face was, we want to increase our earned revenue. We're a theater. So this theater that we work with is the San Francisco Playhouse, and they were, needing to sell more tickets in order to increase their earned revenue. So of course, what we did, step one, we pick or build a landing page that has our website goals or that supports our website goals. As you can see, this landing page has everything someone would need to know if they were looking for a show in San Francisco or looking for a theater or a musical. It has event calendar and dates of when the events are happening. It also has a call to action to buy tickets to really help that user journey move smoothly along. So we, of course, picked this landing page because it supports our website goals. Next, again, the keyword research, the interesting part of the process, where you really have to get creative. And, 18,100 people are searching up Broadway musicals on a monthly basis. Now, it may look like a small number on a screen, but if you picture 18,000 people in a room looking for what you offer, that is huge. That is really, really helpful for you to know that there's a lot of people looking for what you offer, and you can help 18,000 people find what they're looking for. So of course, step 3, we're going to drive those searches to your landing page using free Google Ads. And again, usually you would have to pay Google real money for this. And this is why the Google Ad Grant program is so amazing, because we actually saw a 4,600% increase, or $4,600 increase in monthly ticket sales through the Google Ad Grant. So it really goes to show how it can be a really powerful tool in solving some of the common problems that we see in nonprofit space. The San Francisco Playhouse had really gotten an increase in earned revenue here, and they used free Google Ads to do it. So it really is such a powerful program. And the last organization that I'd like to talk about, which is very close to my heart personally, as I am a tree farmer, is Save the Redwoods League. So what the Redwoods League is about is making sure to advocate for the redwood forest and the sequoia trees in California. So they were really wanting to build their email list to increase their support base in order to tell people to preserve these redwood trees and why it's so important to preserve these trees. So what they did, or what we did, of course, was pick or build a landing page that supported their website goals. And what they did was offer a free guide to the Sequoia Forest when people signed up for their email list. So it's actually kind of a win-win for both ends. We're getting more email signups, but we're also providing the community with a free guide. And of course, step 2, the keyword research. Very important that we're finding those high monthly searches in order to make sure, again, that 1, we know that there's a lot of people searching for what we offer, and 2, our ad does have a way better chance of showing because a lot of people are looking this up and it's very relevant. And step 3, we're driving those searches to your landing page using free Google Ads. Now, this resulted in 400 new email subscribers directly from ads through the Google Ad Grant. Again, the Google Ad Grant, it's not a silver bullet, but it is a super powerful tool in order to be the first step to solving some of these problems. And I hope that these case studies have shown you not only the impact it can have on real lives, but also the impact it can have on your organization to help your community and to help you reach your digital marketing goals. So I will pass it off to Simon to bring us through the application process and how to properly write a Google Ad Grant campaign.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Yeah, so, in the poll that Kelsey ran, 70% of you don't have the grant yet, so this will be applicable to you. The 30% that already have the grant, of course, this is not relevant, but we're going to quickly get to the tips for today. So this is like a simple depiction of the process. As Kelsey mentioned, there's this Google for Nonprofits program. That's the starting point. You need to apply for Google for Nonprofits. The application is pretty simple. It's pretty quick. So yeah, not difficult at all. Once you do that, you need to get verified by an organization called Percent. They're just making sure that you are a registered nonprofit. You're going to complete a pre-qualification form, set up a new account that they have assigned to you, and then once that's done, then you accept the terms and conditions of the program, and then you're good to go. Here are some estimates, some ranges of how long it may take for the process. It can be even quicker than that sometimes, but we'll just kind of give you a general ballpark of what that might look like. So yeah, that's the application process. It's not overly complicated. Okay, so once you do get the grant, what do you do with it? How do you use it to maximize the impact for your organization? Okay. So here's a step-by-step guide of the things that you would go through when you do this. Okay. So the first thing is to first of all strategize on how you want to use a grant, right? Kelsey mentioned different ways that nonprofits use the grant successfully, and those are questions that you can ask yourself too. You know, what are your objectives? Is it to promote an event? Is it to do fundraising? Is it to just create more awareness? And it doesn't have to be just one of those things, right? You can do multiple, you can achieve multiple goals. Maybe not all at once in terms of like as you're building out your ad campaigns, but these are all things that you can run simultaneously in your account. Okay, you do have to start somewhere. So start with maybe your most pressing one. You know, let's say you have an event coming up, or the one that has the greatest importance to you. Okay, so start with one goal and choose a landing page, right? Because with the grant, when people click on the ads, you have to send them to a specific location. So there's kind of a practical nature to this. You need to know where you want to send them, right? And also, when you do pick a landing page, it gives you clarity on like what you're trying to achieve, right? So let's say you want to promote an event, it should be a page that has information about the event and a way to set up all those things, right? So that's why it's a really good starting point to pick your landing page first, okay? So once you've done the landing page, you can then structure a campaign. Now, in Google Ads, campaign is kind of like a container for all the work that you're doing inside it, right? Typically, a campaign is centered around one sort of specific goal or specific call to action, right? So again, going back to the event promotion example, right? If you have a certain event you want to promote, that would be one singular campaign inside your Google Ad account, right? And within this campaign, you're going to fill it with other pieces of work inside, right? Which we'll get to, okay? But yeah, the most important thing, one of the most important things to remember is that really for every kind of individual objective you want to achieve should be its own separate campaign that you run, right? So next thing you do to fill those campaigns, what we like to do is to research keywords, right? So these are the terms that you think people are going to use to search for what you have to offer, right? And you know, Kelsey mentioned kind of the art and science of it, right? But I want to give you some kind of like tips on what you're looking for. So the first thing is you want to look for the best intersection between keywords that have high search traffic, right, and are relevant. So for instance, if you pick a keyword that is highly relevant to what you have to offer, but like 10 people are searching for every month, you're really not going to move the needle at all, right? Whereas if you pick a keyword that has like 1 million views a month or 1 million searches a month, but has nothing to do with what you have to offer, typically Google will probably won't even choose to run your ad because it's so irrelevant to what the search is, right? So you need to find the best intersection between relevancy and search volume, right? And so that's kind of the science, the art and science of keyword research. Some things that will help you with this, using the Google Keyword Planner tool, you saw that with Kelsey, what that looked like. It lets you search keywords and find estimates of how many people search for that every month. Also for things that may be more of a topical nature, you can use Google Trends to see how things shift over time, right? You're also looking to optimize for something called quality score. Quality score is a measure that Google does of how relevant that keyword is to your ads and to your landing page, right? And quality score plays a big impact in terms of the success of a campaign. If you use keywords with poor quality scores, your ads are less likely to show in search results. And that's just a more simplified way of explaining it, right? And so really, you want to maximize for your quality. You want as high a quality score as you can possibly get because you'll be shown more often in search results as a result, right? And not just shown more often, but shown higher up in the search results, meaning that you'll get a greater percentage of the viewers clicking through to your specific result, right? So some things you can do to optimize for quality score is to optimize for what's called long tail versus short tail keywords. You can look into different match type keywords. There are different theories on what match types are the best in which situations. You can use, or you should use, things called negative keywords, which just means preventing certain interpretations of your keyword from appearing, right? So you're trying to remove things that are definitely irrelevant to you, right? And also not using duplicate keywords inside your account, right? What happens is if you duplicate a keyword inside your account, you end up harming yourself in a way, right? You're competing against yourself for position in search results, and it ends up being just worse overall. Or maybe it performs in ways that are unpredictable, like ways that you didn't intend it to perform, right? Okay, so once you have a strong list of keywords, you then need to parse it out or group it out into things called ad groups. Ad groups is another kind of terminology that we use with Google Ads. It's kind of like a subgrouping inside a campaign, right? And an ad group is really a container for your keywords as well as your ad text, right? And so one of the most important things for you to do when you create ad groups is to not stuff all your keywords into one single ad group. There's been, a lot of cases where, I've personally taken over the management of a Google Grant account from a nonprofit. And just one of the most common things I saw when we had accounts that were not performing very well was exactly the same. All the keywords are put into one ad group. And this ends up being very problematic. So let me just kind of illustrate why that is. So in this chart, you'll see one column, which is ad group, second column, which says keyword, and third column, which is ad text, right? And so, so in the first column, you see ad group 1, and it's column 2, you see all the keywords that belong inside ad group 1. So you have donate food in San Francisco, food donations, right? And something you should know about ad groups as well is that all the ad text you put inside ad group is shared by all the keywords. So regardless of whether someone's searching for donate food in San Francisco or food donations, that ad text will appear. And it's really important for you to create the most relevant ad text possible to what someone has searched for, right? Think about it this way. If you are searching for something and you see a result that has very little or is not super relevant to what your question is, you're most likely going to just kind of pass over it and not really kind of dive in further, right? So the more relevant you can make the ad text, the better. So that's why you need to put all your keywords into different ad groups. So you see this in this example, we have new ad groups for a food drive, as well as one for end hunger. And all those three kind of keywords require different messaging because they are, although similar in certain ways, they are different ideas. Like a food drive is a different concept than like donating food, right? They're still related, but they're not exactly the same thing. And so when you split out into different ad groups, then you can write ad text that is the most relevant to those specific keywords. So you see in ad group 2, now we can say food drive in San Francisco, no donation is too small, right? So we can be a lot more specific about food drives versus just donating food. And then end hunger again is, a variation of that, right? Like together we can end hunger. So those kind of ideas you can bring out once you start putting your keywords into separate ad groups, okay? So once you have the ad groups, you then need to put ad text in the ad groups. And so the ad text is what's shown to people when the search triggers your keyword, right? And you should do at least 2, but ideally more than that, variations of relevant ad text per ad group. And the idea is that it's very hard to predict what will be the most effective thing to say to your audience, right? And so a lot of digital marketing is about testing. It's testing, right? And so the best way to test is to put variations of an ad text and to see which one is the most successful. And Google over time has become increasingly more sophisticated in its testing ability and its ability to optimize. So when you can add more ad text, Google's algorithm can do a better job of making sure that the most effective ad text is being shown to your audience, right? So you have to do that with variations, right? So that's ad text. Step 6 is to optimize your landing page, right? So we talked about in step 1, you need to select the landing page. So this is like what you're trying to promote at all. What you say on the page and how it's presented also makes a big difference in terms of the end impact of what your campaign will have, right? And your landing page plays a important role in engaging that traffic that you have and converting it into something that is valuable to you. So let's take a look at a visual example of this, right? So on the left side, you have a non-optimized landing page. On the right side, you have an optimized version of it, right? So the non-optimized landing page, let's say for someone looking to donate goods, right? There's a lot of things that are not ideal for it. For instance, if you look at the left side, you don't really get into the content until almost the bottom of the page, right? And it's not really entirely clear what this page is about. Other things like, let's say you did want to donate, it's not crystal clear, like how you would do that, like what is the actual call to action here? Where's the button to take action, right? And so that's why you see on the optimized side, a different version of that where you very upfront, very high up on the page, you're clearly explaining this is what this is what the page is about, right? If you want to donate used clothing and household goods, this is where you want to be. There's clear buttons, clear call to actions. Everything is like also visually very clear and not like muddled. So it makes a big difference. So what we saw was, and this was an actual example that we did for a client, was about a 3-time increase in donations by using a more optimized landing page versus one that's not optimized. So it can make it make like a world of difference in terms of the results you see from a campaign, right? So it's very important to think about your landing page as well. Okay. And lastly, I'd perhaps underestimated the importance of this, but you need to monitor your results and optimize. Like I was saying earlier, it's very hard to get it right the first time, right? A lot of digital marketing is about testing, but it's also about analyzing the results in test and then taking action in order to improve what you have, right? So you need to see what has worked, what did not work, and then in a very simple way, you just do more of what works and do less of what doesn't work, right? So this is a very iterative process. It's something you have to come back to regularly and continuously improve over time. Another good practical reason to do this as well is that there are certain program standards that the grant program has, right? So they have a set of rules that you have to abide by, but also certain standards in terms of performance. In particular, something called CTR as one of the examples. If you are outside of the standard, your account is at risk of being suspended. And what that means is that your grant will just stop working until you fix those things. And then once you fix those things, you need to alert Google to say, we've done the fixes. Please review it. And once they review it and they're happy with it, they will reinstate your grant, right? So they'll reactivate the funds, right? And so this, suspensions happen. Typically, they're temporary unless you violate a major policy. That's like if you're advertising something that's like out of something in like an area that is wrong, or you're doing something obviously malicious or misleading, that kind of stuff, right? And Google Analytics is something very important that will also let you monitor results. So that's a very important tool that if you do this, you should have. Analytics tells you what happens when people get onto your website, right? And one of the best ways to use that is to understand every time someone completes an action that is valuable to you. And we call this a conversion, right? So you need to track conversions and you link it with your Google ad campaign. And then it will tell you, which of your keywords are actually leading to results, right? So this is a very important part about the optimizing your account. So yeah, those are the steps. That's what it would take to build a campaign. Like I said, I'm just going to do very briefly, just explain to you what we do as a company, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So we ConnectAd since 2010. We are a professional Google Ad Grant Management service. All it means is we have a team of professionals who can do this for you. If you're interested in the grant, if you see that it has value to you, that the $10,000 per month, but you're not necessarily able to do yourself, you can hire someone like us to do it for you and typically get better results than organizations who do it themselves. just a quick illustration of this. Is just a quick very simple formula for how you get results with the Google Ad Grant. You need to invest time and you need to have some level of expertise in this. And if you don't have time to dedicate towards building your campaigns, most likely you're not going to see results from the grant. Even though it gives you 10,000 per month, most likely that you just probably won't get much out of it. So you have to invest the time into it. And if you have the time internally, that's totally fine, right? But I'm just speaking to people who may not have those resources. A lot of nonprofit professionals wear a lot of hats. Sometimes time is something you just don't have. So that's where someone like us can help. And then just on the expertise side, we've been just doing this for 14 years. And we rigorously train our staff, and everything is done in-house, not outsourced. So that we put a lot of pride into the expertise that we have. Next slide. Just really quick, just to show you what that might look like. Here's an example of a nonprofit who did it themselves. They used $20 of the grant in that month. If you go to the next slide, once we came in, we were able to get $50,000 over the next, I think, 6 months or something like that, right? Of the grant spend, as well as a lot of conversions. Here's an example. Again, this is the org that tried to do themselves, couldn't really get it off the ground. Once we came in, we were able to get them almost the maximum value of the grant, right? Essentially, with thousands of conversions over that time period, right? So it can make a difference. So this is a service that we provide. Here we have 2 plans. That's our pricing. If you're interested to learn more, we are going to actually run a poll, and you can find a time, or Kelsey, if in this poll you want to speak to us, Kelsey can reach out to you and find a time to talk about this. But that's it. And we're going to take some Q&A. And can you run the poll, Kelsey?
Yes.
Thanks. All right, so we'll run that poll, and then we're just going to take a moment to just get the Q&A in order. But please, if you are interested in hearing from Kelsey, let us know.
Yeah. I love learning about different nonprofits, so please, you guys, don't be shy.
Kelsey, do you want to go through the Q&A and just kind of
Yes, of course. Okay.
pick something for us?
Yep. Okay, so just having it open now. Okay, so Luciana, sorry, mentioned oh, that was just about the webinar. Okay. So Marianne is saying we are a childcare center / preschool privately owned non-government funding. Marianne, it sounds to me like you will not be eligible because you are a school and privately owned. So unless your school is registered as a 501c3 with your own website, then most likely you will not be eligible. Tammy asks, what happens when more than $10,000 worth of ad clicks is utilized by internet users? So Tammy, great question. All that happens is that your ad will stop running for the day, because you can think about it as a daily budget of $329 a day or so. So if you do go over that, then your ads will just stop running for that day and start the next day. So it's not a big deal.
And you're never charged. Google will never charge you for this.
Exactly. Okay, so where do you look for those keywords? Luciana and Christina are asking. So Simon mentioned earlier that we use Keyword Planner. So I'll just write that in the chat there. And you can access this through your Google Ads account. So Marianne is saying we already have the Google Ad Grant applied, but not yet used it. I'd like to set up an appointment with your organization to evaluate how we can leverage the grant for next step. Sounds great, Marianne. Please reach out to me or I'll reach out to you and we'll set something up. Okay. Alex is asking, can you give an example of negative keywords? I would like to get a better picture on this. So Simon, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, so imagine that you are a nonprofit theater. You run live shows, right? Like Broadway, that kind of stuff, right? And let's say you want to use the keyword theater shows, but then you start noticing that you're getting a lot of searches from people who are looking for movie theater shows. And so you say, okay, I'm going to write a negative keyword for movie because I want to remove that interpretation from cause triggering my ad to appear in the search results, right? And by removing something that is irrelevant, you are making the resulting campaign more relevant. So and it lets you tap into like a really good keyword, like theater shows is probably really searched, but so it's you can use that great keyword. You just removing that part about it that doesn't make that is not relevant to you, and so you kind of still benefit it, but just remove the part that's bad. That's kind of drops the quality of your campaign, and so it just improves the overall quality of your campaign by doing that.
Perfect. Thanks, Simon. Great explanation. Okay. Um, So, Eve is saying that they are a VW Citizen Action Education Fund is a 501c3 that serves West Virginian, educating and advocating for the people of their state on issues like healthcare, climate, environment, voting rights, and more. That sounds really, really impactful, Eve. Yeah, to me, it sounds like you would be eligible. You're a 501c3 as long as you own a website or domain name and that's HTTPS secured, then yes, most likely it does sound like you would be a great fit for the Google Ad Grant and would be eligible. Okay, thanks for sharing that website. I'll definitely take a look at that after and get in touch with you if you'd like, Eve. Okay, so Marianne is saying we already have the website. Do you enhance the website, adding landing page as part of the starter plan? So, Simon, would you like to take that one?
Um, so it's great you have a website. Enhancing a landing page you would do for a very specific purpose. Like if you have a web page that doesn't really fit any of the objectives you want to do, it is potentially something we could do. I wouldn't say it's typically part of the starter plan. Um, the starter plan is really more meant for like the grant stuff. I'm sure because the way that we treat our relationships is like we want to be your strategic partner in this, right? So I'm sure that if we were to work, we can give you advice on certain things to maybe change on the site or to do differently. Typically, building a landing page is a lot more involved, and it ends up actually taking a lot more time than you might expect to do. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of factors that kind of go into it. Maybe the page that you have is actually of sufficient quality, but just requires a few tweaks. But if it's so if it's so off, like or just not up to standard, um, I'm sure we would take that into consideration when we kind of look at the success of the campaign. So it's kind of a roundabout answer, but just to say that typically, I would say generally that's not really part of it. But if it's really dire, severe, that's something we can consider. I hope that answers your question. Everything is very case by case.
Yeah, it's true. No, that's a great way to put it as well. And we do offer landing page creation services, as we showed you the donate to use goods landing page as well. So we can definitely figure something out. Okay, so we'll go to the Q&A now. Gosh, I love how involved everyone is. Thank you so much. Um, okay, so earlier on in the presentation, Peace Through Action USA was asking, what is a Google ad? I hope that the presentation showed you what exactly that is. Of course, you can always book time with me and I can explain anything again or anything in more detail. Should we create a Google ad for each or most web pages of our website? Yes. So, like Simon was saying, when we're picking a landing page and kind of like the examples I went through, you want to have a specific landing page for a specific goal. Like the donate used clothing landing page. We want to make sure that everything is staying relevant. So, in order to do that, we need to have separate pages for each service that you offer, each program you offer, etc. Okay. Is the keyword list, a Google list, or the organization's making. So with Keyword Planner, it does kind of give you some ideas, but you have to make sure that they are relevant to what your organization offers. So that's when Simon and I were saying, that's the art part of keyword research is finding those keywords yourself that, make sure that they're relevant to what your organization offers. But yeah. Okay. Do other search engines such as Firefox and Edge have similar ads and similar nonprofit ad grants? So we do know that Bing, Microsoft Bing, did have an ad grant that was going. I think it's $1,000 a month or something. I think it's currently been paused, but definitely something to look into. Okay, so Rebecca's asking clarification on the no affiliate links. Does this mean we cannot have sponsor links on our website? Rebecca, if you mean like Rogers ads or any for-profit ads, yeah, you're not allowed to have that on your website. It can only be content on your website that is related to your nonprofit. Is there a limit on number of keywords? And if so, is that limit per ad or limit per organization? So there isn't a limit. There really is no magic number of keywords, I would say. But maybe Simon could give some more context into that situation.
Yeah, just no like for all intents and purposes like a real limit. Um, it's I would say dictated by a couple things. Like number one is what kind of campaign are you running? Um, certain campaigns will naturally have more keywords because there's more people searching for it than others. And then the other piece about that is like, what is the practical limit of that? Like, do you want to spend 8 hours building a keyword list, right? If so, that you would have a bigger list. But is that practical, or is that a good return on your time? Probably not, right? You're probably looking for a smaller list of. You wouldn't spend 8 hours building a keyword list, right? But yeah, there's no technical limit, I would say. But there's more of a practical limit, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Okay. Nicole says, I started working for an organization that once had Google Ads, but for some reason must have not followed terms and corrected their actions and lost it. Is it just as simple as reapplying to see if they will accept us back again? And so, yeah, Nicole, we see this happen a lot of the time. Someone creates a Google for Nonprofits account, tries to get the Google Ad grant, they leave the organization, and you're not able to get back into your account. Good thing is that you don't have to make a whole new account. You can reapply. So, we deal with that all the time. We have a direct line to the Google Grants team. So if you're having trouble finding your account or trying to really log into it, then we can definitely help you on that end. But answer is that yes, you can, reactivate it. You don't have to go through a whole new application. There's only one Google for Nonprofits account or Google Ad Grant account that can be for each organization or just for your organization. Okay. Michael is asking, how would you avoid duplicates in something like piano lessons versus guitar lessons, etc.? If our school offers lessons for 30 different instruments, that seems tricky. So yeah, great point, Michael. That's really where the ad groups come into play. Like Simon was saying, with the Donate Food in San Francisco and End the Hunger. So they are similar, but they are different enough that you want to create separate ad groups for things like piano lessons and then one ad group for guitar lessons. Um, that's how we would go about it.
Yeah, Kelsey is right. That's just the best way to go about it. But just to clarify something, a duplicate keyword is the exact same keyword. So if you use like piano lessons in one ad group and piano lessons in the other ad group, that's when you have a duplicated keyword. Piano lessons is a different literal keyword than guitar lessons. Google Ads is like very literal, right? Like uh we're talking about like exact duplications. Sometimes like a different tense of something would not be considered a duplicate keyword, right? It's more just like a literal exact copy of it.
Mhm. Exactly. Um, Yeah, thanks, Simon. And I see below, like, to be clear, we are a nonprofit music school, and amazing because we work with a lot of those as well. So that's really exciting. Um, okay. Nicole is asking, how much time do you feel it would take to manage in-house for an organization? So great question, Nicole. It really depends on if someone in your organization has Google Ads experience. As Simon was saying, we do a rigorous training because our account managers spend about 400 hours training within the Google Ad Grants environment before we even work on an account. And I think a lot of the experience that it takes is to work on many different accounts in order to kind of see the differences between each. So I don't know if there's a perfect answer for how much time it would take in-house, but definitely there is a lot of learning to go behind this program. So that's why we always say to skip the learning curve, it's good to go with professional management, because it saves you a lot of time on your end and saves the expertise learning.
Yeah. I would say no less than 4 hours a month. That is
There
like,
you go.
I mean, and yeah, Kelsey's exactly right. Like it's a really a function of like your knowledge in the area. If you know it better, if you've done trained on it for thousands of hours, you're naturally going to be much faster at certain things. Your keyword research will be faster. You'll be more able to directly get to the right answer, let's say, or quote unquote right answer, right? Even from a technical perspective, you can build the campaign much faster, right? I remember the first time I did it, it was in 2010. I had no idea, there wasn't much less resources. The first time I did the campaign, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I built something, but I don't know what I just did. And so that kind of stuff can happen when you're just learning. So, like I said, no less than 4 hours. But I would imagine if it's the first time you're ever doing it, it's going to take you longer than that. And
Mhm.
then also the process of optimizing it is where you're going to spend a lot of time as well, right? And that will take some time to learn, but maybe something between like 4 and 10 hours a month. But even then, that yeah, maybe 4 to 10 hours. But yeah, really depends on and also not just your expertise, but also someone's natural ability in a certain area, right? Some people are more comfortable with technology and um, learning like new programs on the computer, and some people are not, and so that also factors into like your capability to do that and how long it would take, right?
Yeah, exactly. Um, Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
thanks for
sorry,
that
just
answer,
really
Simon.
quick. We
Yeah,
are technically at time.
we are.
If you have to go, no problem. The webinar is recorded. We've gone through all the major content for today.
Yeah.
We traditionally enjoy just answering all the questions, and there's still a bunch more. If it's okay with Charity How To, we're just gonna keep answering them. If we have to go, that's totally okay. But like I said, we just generally just keep plugging away.
Sure, Simon. That should not be a problem to stay on for a little bit longer.
Okay,
Awesome.
thanks.
Thank you. Okay. So Sherry's asking, please demonstrate how to run the search for keywords. So Sherry, once you get these slides, or you can just, write down keyword planner, I definitely would check it out. All you do is type in keywords into the search bar that are relevant to your organization, and Google will show you how many times that keyword is searched up. You can always go back to my slides in the presentation just to, see what an example of that looks like. Um, And Amanda is asking, do you have a platform recommendation in which to build landing pages? Yeah, so yeah, Simon's nodding his head.
Yeah, we use Instapage. I love Instapage. It's might not necessarily be for everyone. You might not even necessarily need a platform to build a landing page. You could technically, if it makes sense, build it within your builder, let's say WordPress or something. You could do it like that. And there's just certain considerations you would take whether you would just build it on your website or whether you would benefit from like a third party builder like that to create something else, right?
Mhm.
But too many intricacies to go through at this point. But yeah, we use Instapage and I love it.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Perfect. Okay, Christy is saying or asking, how do we know if our website is optimized to meet the qualifications? I think it was the original point 1 or 2 on the first slide. Yeah, so Christy, the qualifications are to have an HTTPS secure website. So you can check that by looking in your search bar, and if it says secured with HTTPS, then you're good. And you also have to own the website and domain name. And be registered as a 501c3 organization. So those are the 3 or the 2 website requirements and the 1 other qualification. Okay. Ooh, good question. Why the performance in Google Grant is so much worse than paid account? So, you know, Simon, would you like to take this one or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Because the grant is free, there are certain limitations on it that don't exist with the paying account. One of them being that on a paid account, you're generally eligible for more auctions, and it's easier for you to get position than it is with a grant, and that's by design. Because if it were otherwise, then I think that with the introduction of the grant, it would be problematic for the entire Google ad auction system. So they have to do it this way, and I actually think it's an acceptable trade-off. And what that means is that it affects the strategy you use when you run a grant, because you will know that certain things are probably not possible with a grant, but if you address it in a different way, you can get traction. So let's say, for instance, you want to do fundraising, and like donating to nonprofits. Let's say you want to use donate to nonprofits as a keyword inside the grant account. You most likely will not see any impressions or any activity clicks, because it is so incredibly competitive, right? And because paid accounts will get preferred position for that over the grant, right? So it just means that your strategy, you would probably avoid that. And then it means that you would find other ways. So you could potentially find ways to engage with a relevant audience. Maybe it's like you create a campaign to build an email list, right? Like we talked about the Save the Redwoods example, right? Building an email list. And then if you can get people on your list and then use the list itself to engage and convert them to a donor, that can be a more viable strategy than just going for like donate to a nonprofit, right? So it's actually quite interesting how you would run a grant versus a paid account. And anyways, and then there's other intricacies in terms of, let's say, running both simultaneously, and we have strategies for that as well. So that's where like the the deeper strategy of this comes into play.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Sherry's asking, am I able to determine if our organization already has a Google for Nonprofits account? Is there a way to search this? So yeah, Sherry, if you go to the Google for Nonprofits website, if someone has made an account, it's a possibility that you'll be able to see that already and just say, oh, are you this person? But is there another way that Google for Nonprofits shows you that, Simon, or?
Not that I'm aware. I think what you can
Yeah.
do too is you can just apply for it. And
Right.
then if it exists, it'll say it already exists.
Right. Yes. And
Yeah.
then you
So that's
can,
the most definitive way to know that.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so yeah. Okay, I understand it better. Perfect. Is my Google for Nonprofits account connected to Google My Business, or is this separate? We have a Google My Business profile. So actually, Simon, would you want to take that one?
Yeah, let me go back up the first question. So it is true that there is not a master list that the org sets up in terms of keywords. You set up keywords by a campaign. More specifically, keywords live inside a campaign, but they live inside ad groups inside a campaign. So that's how it works. Yeah, so keywords essentially, belong to a certain campaign. And then, well, they could technically exist in anywhere, so in other campaigns, but that's what I was saying. You don't want to duplicate your keywords. So that's how that works. And then, the next question is my Google for Nonprofits account connected to Google My Business? Or is it separate? We have a Google My Business profile. It is separate. Google My Business is something separate from Google for Nonprofits. As far as I remember and know, they are not, there's no linkage between them. But you would probably be best served to have a singular a single Google account that administers both Google for Nonprofits and Google My Business. So
Yeah.
you have one sign-in that has both, but they're two entirely different programs.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and anonymous attendee, I'm not sure if you're still here, but if you were the one who asked, does your agency assist with building landing pages through WordPress? Yeah, so as we were saying, we'll use Instapage to build that landing page, but then we can implement it on whichever website platform that you use, whether that be
Yeah.
WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, whatever it may be. Yeah, our team definitely helps with that.
Yeah,
Or
they
can do that
integrate
for you,
together.
rather. Yes.
Instapage
Yeah,
will
exactly.
integrate through WordPress, and it can appear seamlessly as if it's part of the WordPress.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we've also built WordPress pages too, actually. So.
Oh yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, everyone. I think
Got
that's it. 3 more chat. Oops, sorry, the 3 more in the chat. This is super helpful. Thank you. Thanks for attending, Amanda. Eve, what's that grant app link again? Eve, it's google.com/nonprofits. But if you want to get in touch with me, then we can go through the process together. You just gotta just click yes to be contacted, because then I'll have your email, and then we can chat. Perfect. Okay, everyone, I think that's it. Thank you so much for staying over time with us today and for attending our presentation. Of course, again, we always love speaking with nonprofits, and love telling you about this amazing program. So I hope you all enjoyed, and hope to speak with you.
Thanks everybody for joining
Thanks.
us today. Thanks, Simon and Kelsey. We
Thanks,
did
Amy.
record the session, and you will have it in your Charity How To library tomorrow morning. You can access it anytime you want and watch it as many times as you want. Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Everyone,
Thanks for joining
bye.
us. Bye.